I am from beyond. Listen, and all you desire will be yours. Welcome to Spider-Dan and the Secret Balls. Prepare for Prattle.
Puny Pod.
Welcome to Waterworld. I am your host, the ever-amazing, ever-spectacular Spider-Dan, and in this podcast I spotlight entertainment's best-kept secrets that a mainstream audience may find boring. And welcome to another Puny Pod, a short-form podcast where I visit a specific film or comic book all by myself. So this episode is a special one. I'm doing a preview for the Forbidden Worlds Film Festival 2025. So both me and Mike Burton of Genuine Chit-Chat and Star Wars Chit-Chat and many other wonderful things discussed this recently on his Andor podcast, which I will link in the show notes below. It is an honour again to be on the press team of Forbidden Worlds Film Festival. Thank you very much again. I'm truly blessed. This is the absolute mecca of my year every year. And I've managed to bring Mike along. He's also on the press team, so we're going together. We've bought all sorts of new equipment, so we'll be doing all things to do with the festival. Again, interviewing people and volunteers, audience members, and then just talking about our thoughts on the films. I've seen some of the films. I've covered some of the films already, but I'm very interested to see what Mike thinks of most of them, as he hasn't seen almost any of them. So I'm very excited to see and hear his feelings and emotions as he watches them on this huge IMAX screen in the Bristol Aquarium. I'm going to go through a few little things first, just about the festival and what it's got on, what the theme is, and who's there. And this has been requested. Normally, as previous years, I've done podcasts after the event, but in the build-up, Forbidden Worlds Film Festival has asked me to do kind of preview podcasts and articles and social media posts, all sorts of good stuff, which is fair enough. We've got to build, again, interest in it and get people buying tickets. Not that they're not, because it is almost sold out, the entire thing. So definitely get your tickets in now. You can buy day tickets. You can buy, there's a day ticket for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So 5 days in total of your week filled with goodness. And again, you can buy tickets for the singular screenings or the singular kind of event. I'll go through them very briefly. But yeah, I'm just really looking forward to it this year. I'm sure the weather is going to be great. Let's keep with that kind of heat wave. Me and Mike have been working out the logistics and everything, what we're going to do and how we're going to kind of split everything up, but we will see what we do. We'll see how it comes out. But I wanted to do this preview episode in my own kind of way. So one of the main things that's happening is they are doing a water theme or an oceanic theme this year, which is across the board on all of their kind of products. Again, usually it's kind of a loose theme, but I think this one is more of a kind of a stronger theme this year as well. There are technically less films being shown, but I think that's a good thing, because in between the films, you're going to have a bit more time to interact with people. You can go to the toilet, you can buy merch, you can, speak to people, speak to the organisers, the volunteers yourself, tell them your thoughts, or do social media posts about it, or make videos, TikToks, whatever you do. Get the word out there, because this, I've got nothing bad to say about this event. I love it, and the people that run it love it as well. Very passionate bunch, great people, and yeah, couldn't say anything more positive about this event. But I wanted to tell you a little bit about what they're showing, what they're doing this year, just to give you an idea and a vibe, as the kids call it nowadays, for the festival. So let's have a look. On Wednesday, so the first day of the festival, the 28th, they are showing The Big Picture, which is actually a documentary about the IMAX screen that you will be going to see the films on. So that's interesting in itself. itself, and it features a lot of the organisers and how they basically this kind of wonderful screen. Again, the first year I went, I saw King Kong for the first time, the original, on the IMAX screen with him kind of towering over me, and that's kind of imprinted in my brain. I'm so lucky that, Forbidden Worlds Film Festival gave me the opportunity to have that experience for the very first time, and it was, of course, a classic and, of course, very epic. But yeah, to experience it in such a way is the reason you go to the cinema, the reason you go to film festivals. And again, there's a history behind this very screen being reopened, as it wasn't being used for some time. So the effort they made, this group of plucky young individuals, this scrappy bunch, bringing back this IMAX screen and putting these kind of films on, and showing them in high definition and kind of almost more than what they were intended for, like better and, in better quality with better sound and you name it, and certain cuts of the films. And not only that, you get introductions, usually video introductions from the people who made these films, like James Cameron, like John Carpenter, like Peter Jackson, absolutely the kind of top tier Hollywood talent, Joe Dante, Phil Tippett, all the people that were involved in these films, the actors, Lance Henriksen, for example, Sam Jackson, previous years. So this year will no doubt be the same with all these wonderful little video introductions. If you haven't seen them, you can go on YouTube and watch them yourself. If you weren't there, you missed them, they're all available there as well on the Forbidden Worlds YouTube channel, which again, I will link below. But yeah, absolutely wonderful kind of event. But yeah, so I'm actually quite interested to see that documentary and to see how it all came about. How did they manage to do this? Where'd the funding come from? Who was involved? What permits did you have to get? I love the kind of the backstage past kind of thing that I do, where I delve into how things were made or how things happened and the struggles and the travails that people go through to get something made, is something that still astounds me to this day, that such classic cinema can have such a tumultuous production history, a production hell. Even bad films have production hell. It's kind of wonderful in a way where, we're striving and suffering for the art and learning about that. So I'm very much looking forward to that. So this year they have a huge special guest. It's incredible. I mean, they've had a few people there in the past, like Jim will Paint It, who does the posters for the event. Another great guy, lovely guy. I bought a t-shirt from him last year. Wonderful, wonderful fella. They've had previously Ray Harryhausen's daughter was there, talking about his work and her memory of him and being on his various film sets and while they were shooting, or when he's creating his characters and creatures and wonderful stuff like that. That was a lovely little experience there. My first year, just hearing her speak about her father was lovely, and the memory of him and what he's accomplished and achieved in his lifetime, and who he's inspired as well, really. Gale and Hurd, the producer of Terminator, Aliens, and many, many more classic genre films, even some Marvel stuff, Hulk and Punisher, she was the producer on. I did Hellfest a few years ago, she produced that. So yeah, amazing, absolute talent, creative, driving force, but she's gone from blockbuster to blockbuster, from success to success. Such a creative eye and talent when it comes to making films and guiding filmmakers, and you name it. If you just look at her filmography, it's banger after banger after banger after banger. Even the ones I haven't seen are probably pretty good, or I've heard good word of mouth from. So it's really going to be interesting to see her, and hopefully we'll get to interview her as well, if she's not too kind of swamped swamped with what she's doing and who she's speaking to and various other people. We'll try our best, but sometimes it might not happen. But me and Mike will at least attempt that. But again, we don't want to pester people. I don't want to put people in force them to do anything they're not comfortable doing. So we'll be very cautious and very respectful. But we can still ask and we still try. There's no harm in that. And if she doesn't have the time, she says no. That is what it is. But we'll try our best and see if we can speak to her and learn a bit more about what she's done and how she's done it, her career, and we'll also get to see the director's cut of Aliens on the big screen with her in the room, which is going to be incredible. It's the Mike's a big fan of Aliens. It's one of his favorite films, if not his favorite film, I believe. And I can't really blame him for that. It is a classic. Glad they're showing that version. I know on Disney Plus they've only got the theatrical version for some fucking reason. Don't ask me why, but that's what they've got. So yes, so we're gonna get to see that. And again, Mike's gonna see that on a huge IMAX screen. Which again, just spending some quality in-person time with Mike. It's very rare that we do. I went round to his house a couple of years ago. Him and Megan put me up, and they were very friendly and lovely. Couldn't ask for better hosts to go over to and stay with somebody. And their dog Willow was lovely as well. Beautiful, lovely dog. Kind of, I sat on this this chair, this kind of armchair, single armchair for a person, and she was on the sofa. She just kind of I sat down because it'd been a bit of a trip to get down there. It was a bit rocky, but I sat down, and the second I sat down, she leaped across the sofa onto the armchair to greet me, which is lovely. But yeah, wonderful group of people. I love them so much. I'm not ashamed to say it. They are amazing people on every level. Again, I'll link all of Mike's podcasts and things. Next up, I'm doing a preview, but I wanted to add a little something to the end of it as well. So they are showing at Forbidden Worlds the Waterworld Ulysses cut, which is kind of a fan cut, really. It's basically a version where they take some TV footage, they mix it with some of the actual footage from the film and master it all together. I think there was a German TV version that they used to lengthen it out for TV, for ads and stuff. So yeah, and it has been officially released. I have the Arrow Blu-ray. I watched the theatrical cut yesterday. I'm familiar with that at the very least. I've seen that before. I've not seen the Ulysses cut, but I'm going to wait until I'm actually at the event before I kind of take all that in. But at the end of this, once I've done kind of doing the preview of the event, I want to talk about Children of Leviathan, which is a comic book sequel or a comic book continuation of the movie following the Mariner and his adventures after the end of Waterworld, which I'll go into shortly. But yes, and then following that, we've got Battle Beyond the Stars. This is on the Friday, these. So Wednesday is the documentary. So Thursday is the evening with Gale and Hurd and the showing of the director's cut of Aliens. And then we go into Friday, which has Waterworld, the Ulysses cut, Battle Beyond the Stars, with an introduction by Gale and Hurd. Then they have The City of Lost Children and Blood Tide. Battle Beyond the Stars I've seen, and I've even covered a comic book prequel on Patreon, so go and check that out if you want to find out what I feel about that one. And Mike has never seen it, and he's a huge Star Wars fan, and as we all know, if you don't already, go check out the links that I've mentioned in the show notes. Huge nerd in regards to Star Wars. Battle Beyond the Stars is Roger Corman's ripoff of a kind of a Seven Samurai in space type film. He probably put the most money he ever put into a film into that film, and he would reuse those effects for the rest of his life, because he's got to make his money out of it, got to make it worth it for spending all that. So I'm very interested to hear Gale and Hurd's memories and thoughts on that, and memories of Roger Corman. There was kind of an honorary card at the beginning of some Roger Corman films last year because he died shortly before the event started. So, but yeah, that'll be interesting. The City of Lost Children Children, a film I have seen. Very Guillermo del Toro, very odd. It's about dreams. It's from the director of Delicatessen and Alien Resurrection, which I'm kind of a little bit fond of that one. But yeah, very, very unusual. There's a young girl, and of course Ron Perlman's in it, which I think is giving me that Guillermo del Toro vibe. It's kind of a fairy tale, but it's kind of cyberpunky as well. It's got this kind of green filter on it. It's interesting. I do own it. It's something a bit different. I'm looking forward to seeing it again because I don't really remember how I felt, whether I was kind of, how I felt about it. It's very unusual, very odd, very indie kind of sensibility to it, in a way. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see that again. And then Blood Tide, which I watched the other day, I will link my Letterboxd review for the film, but it's a kind of, I describe it as kind of Wicker Man meets Who Can Kill a Child, which again is on Patreon. I can link that as well. And also kind of Creature from the Black Lagoon, Shape of Water-esque kind of thing going on. Very unusual. Again, very kind of indie, very kind of art housey horror film. I wouldn't even really necessarily call it a horror film. It's definitely interesting. You can check out my review of it. But again, I'd be very interested to hear what Mike thinks of that one. And then we have on the following day, on the Saturday, kicking the day off, will be the short film showcase, which I did last year. That was in 2 parts. This one seems to be just in the one part. So this will be interesting. I really, really enjoyed that last year. I thought it was a great addition to the festival. So I highly, highly, highly recommend that if you get a chance to go and see that as well. Yeah, absolutely check it out. Some wonderful films where I think some of these filmmakers are going places. They're absolutely going places, and their short films are no doubt a testament to their talent and what they can do. All very different, all very varied, but all were excellent in their own way. And you will get to vote yourself. I believe so anyway. Last year we got to kind of vote what our favourite was. I think there's a festival organisers vote, there's a public vote, and I think there was another. Maybe there was a vote in between the filmmakers as well. I'm not sure. I can't really remember. Go back and listen to my podcast from last year and then you'll know. I will definitely have talked about that. And then Tremors is on in the afternoon on Saturday with another Gale and Hurd introduction. Great film for a festival. Great film for a genre film festival. Real crowd pleaser. It will go down a treat. The Bad Movie Bible Guide to Jawsploitation will introduce Orca, which is again a film I have already covered previously with me and TD Velasquez, or Dan as he's otherwise known. Yeah, really, really cool film. I really like that one. That's a good time. And again, very weird, bit art housey, great cast, great acting, very pure cheese on toast. But yeah, I loved it. I thought it was great, a lot of fun. Now there is a film to be confirmed again, so we don't know what it is. I imagine it's another kind of wet one, or maybe it's another Gale and Hurd one. I don't know. We'll find out. The next film is going to be quite interesting. It's a 1960s Japanese film, I believe, called The Whale God. From what I understand, it is a kind of Ahab, Moby Dick type tale, but told through kind of a Japanese kind of cultural lens. And another one I've covered before with Max and myself over a few Christmases ago. We covered Young Sherlock Holmes, which is absolutely the blueprint for the Harry Potter films. I don't know if you get the Harry Potter films without this. It's written by Chris Columbus. He would go on to direct. I don't know if She Who Should Not Be Named had any hand in choosing directors or suggesting directors, but I imagine she probably did. Maybe even her books may have been influenced by Young Sherlock Holmes, perhaps. But yeah, enough about her anyway. There's going to be a Q&A. So both the actor who played Young Sherlock Holmes is going to be there, and the actress who plays the female lead. I'm absolutely blanking on their names, so I apologise. Brian Cox's son was going to be there, but unfortunately he's in a play. But yeah, so it's a shame he couldn't be there, but he's, a play takes precedence. I was a former actor. I know this. You have to cancel a lot of things when you're in plays and various other things. So yeah, no, that does take precedence. And then another film that was on my list that I haven't seen is is Below, which is kind of a haunted, ghostly submarine movie very interested in seeing that one. Submarine movies are always very interesting to me, the idea and the claustrophobia and tensions and everything. There's always something good to be found, I think, in most submarine movies. There's something about it. But yes, and then the final film, which is a perfect film to end the festival on, is Alligator, which is again another Jaws-sploitation film, and it is an absolute banger. Basically about a child who buys an alligator from Florida, goes back home to New York. Dad flushes it down the toilet, standard, part of the whole urban legend myth, and he ends up outside a kind of a drain where scientists are experimenting on animals and with kind of growth hormones, and the bodies of the dead test subjects are thrown into the sewer. The alligator eats them and grows to a titanic size. Absolutely jaw-dropping film, jaws-dropping film, you could say. But yeah, I love it. I think it's great. I think it's a classic. It's an absolute classic for me, and I couldn't think of a better film to end the festival on. Out of all the films and the way they've organised it, they know exactly what they're doing, and yeah, 100%. I couldn't disagree with that choice to end it on that, because it is a real banger. But yes, we will see. We will see again what Mike thinks of that. I love it. We'll see what his thoughts are. Again, a lot of old kind of classic kind of genre films. I know he's more of a slightly likes his more kind of modern stuff. I think that he tends to kind of verge towards the more kind of, he's a bit younger than me and has slightly different tastes, so I think he tends to verge with slightly more modern films. I'm a sucker for really old, gritty, grimy, grindhouse stuff. So yeah, so it'll be nice to have those discussions with him as well, because his film tastes not always divergent entirely, but they can vary depending on the film and what's involved as well. We were discussing about the ending of Blade Runner the other day, which he does not care for. He thinks it's anticlimactic, and I disagree wholeheartedly. But there we have it. But yeah, I can't wait to spend all that time with Mike and see everybody again, and all the stalls and all the kind of merch and stuff. We're gonna have an absolute blast, I think, at this festival. I cannot wait, honestly. But I want to talk about this comic, this Waterworld comic. I rewatched the theatrical cut yesterday, and you know what? I remember it as a kid. I remember a lot of the moments, the elements of it, mostly the beginning, because I'm sure we turned it off or did something else as a kid. But yeah, I actually really liked it. I know it's supposed to be one of the biggest box office bombs with one of the worst production hells in movie history. But yeah, I enjoyed it. It is what it is. It's Mad Max on the water. That's all I need, and it delivers. It's an action. We've got characters in there, some excellent world building as well. Some really interesting and unusual world building, which I really appreciated. Yeah, generally I like it. It's fun. I'm not a big fan of Kevin Costner, I'll be honest. I do love Prince of Thieves, and the team behind Waterworld pretty much did Prince of Thieves, so that seemed to have its own struggles production wise. It's a unique film, and I think it will go down well. I think if people haven't seen it before, I think it is definitely a kind of a festival film. Will this cut be superior? I'll let you know after I've watched it. But yeah, who knows? But generally, it's a rip-roaring adventure on the high seas. I was a fan of Cutthroat Island when I was a kid, which I know Rennie Harlin is a big hero at the Forbidden Worlds Film Festival, and I think there was talk about them including it in the schedule, Cutthroat Island, but yeah, it just didn't work out for whatever reason. But it's a great film. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I went in kind of going, is this going to be bad? Is it, I've heard the mixed things. It's been a few years. Will I like it again? Will I like it as much? Or, I wasn't entirely sure. So, but yeah, I liked it. So, but I will let you know what I feel about the Ulysses cut. I don't know if Mike is going to watch the theatrical cut before he goes. I'm not sure. I know his preview episode that he's doing will be on Young Sherlock Holmes, because he's never seen it. So I didn't want to go over the same stuff I've been over before if I can avoid it. So yeah, he's doing his preview podcast on that. So yeah, go and check that out and see what he thought of the film. And Megan's a big fan of Harry Potter. Will she like it, or is it going to be too weird? Who knows? It's she's got a unique algorithm, let's say, for films. Sometimes they're too boring, sometimes they're too exciting, sometimes they're too weird. She has a very, very unique way of looking at things, and that's why we love her so much. But yes, so let's talk about this comic. So it was published by Acclaim Comics. Now, this Acclaim Comics is basically, they are a video game company, and they were doing very well at that time in the 90s, and they bought out Valiant Comics, which was also doing pretty well at the time as well, as 90s comics go. And that included characters like Turok, who they made a video game about, and various other characters like Shadow Man as well. They made a couple of video games about him. So yeah, kind of they wanted to kind of bring in some IP that they could kind of adapt. It spent a lot of money on things like that, and IPs and some other stuff, and financially eventually fell. And then Valiant has come back in its own. I think it's been rebranded and it's back on its own, doing its own thing. But they rebranded it as Acclaim Comics, and I think they added even like an arrow to kind of indicate that it was kind of like a Valiant, still kind of Valiant. Anyway, enough about that. So the writers of this book were Chris Golden and Tom Sniegoski, and the art is by Kevin Kobasic. So this comic is set a few months after the events of the film. So the Mariner's rebuilt his trimaran, which now includes a flamethrower on it. So he's proper upgraded again. And it is revealed the Great Deluge was caused by a shower of asteroids melting the polar ice caps, as they say in the film. So that is what caused that to happen. Yeah, so it's not kind of, the film has a lot of environmental kind of messaging and kind of not on the nose kind of political, feelings, because it's an eco film, isn't it? It's, the villains are smokers, so they're clearly saying smoking is bad as well, and there's an Exxon, the Exxon Valdez is in the film. There's a few other kind of winks and nods to the certain things and messaging in the film, but again, it's still, you can still enjoy it and not kind of feel like you're being preached to or anything. Not that being preached to is necessarily a bad thing. I just loved Andor recently. A link in the show notes. I love a good political message or a social message or a moral to a film. That's what we're here for. But yeah, this film is very much entertainment first and then message after. But I appreciate the message. So yeah. So we find the Mariner searching for his reason for being born different. As we know, he is a mutant. He is a merman in the film. So he has webbed feet. He has gills. So yeah, we find that out, and he wants to know why. And he's dreaming about being experimented on by scientists, which he doesn't quite understand. He is then attacked by a sea monster, which again we see in the film, but in this they call it a whale fin, which is kind of this weird kind of shark whale hybrid with a kind of sideways mouth. So to escape it, he goes scavenging deep underwater, like he does again in the film, and he encounters some humans in a sub from an underwater city. Created by air-breathing humans, not more mermen like him, called the Foundation. They get to the surface only to be attacked by the children of Leviathan, a group of mad scavengers led by a religious leader who believes himself to be the reincarnation of the legendary sea serpent and uses poisonous sea creatures to see visions of the future. Dennis Hopper's character, the Deacon, is revealed to be one of the deacons of Leviathan. So he had religious followers, and Dennis Hopper was apparently one of them. Again, I don't know if he's gone off and done his own thing or not. It's not really implied, but there you have it. The Mariner almost leaves while the Foundation are being attacked to avoid being, again, it's all about survival, Waterworld. It's all about survival. The reluctant hero and the survival. Very Mad Max. But then he sees one of the boys get thrown overboard and thinks he can learn more information about him and himself and history and maybe where he came from and what about these weird dreams he's having. He saves this boy called Carlos, who tells the mariner that he's part of a rebel group who stole the sub to finally see the surface. And he shows him some historical and scientific documents that imply that the Foundation tried to create hybrids like the mariner. He takes him back only for him to be arrested by the Foundation, and the mariner is given over to Dr. Noah for examination, a female scientist, and he's given by a very unlikable security guard called Quint, which I think is a reference to Jaws, of course. Leviathan then tortures the Foundation members, or the escapees, and uses their sub to launch an attack on the Foundation. Quint agrees to free the mariner for his aid, and he leaves to get weaponry. But before he can return, the president sets off an executive failsafe, which will cause his officers to float to the surface. Carlos and Dr. Noah wait for the mariner. He delivers the weapons in time, but not before the failsafe has been activated, trapping all three of them in the city that is slowly filling with water. Dr. Noah remembers an escape pod that they used to get to the surface. Leviathan also narrowly escapes, but as they both surface, a whale fin knocks Dr. Noah into the arms of Leviathan. The mariner is frustrated as he has to rescue someone again from a bald madman, referencing the film. He uses his submerged trimaran to catapult himself aboard Leviathan's aircraft carrier, saving Dr. Noah, and escapes using a balloon he borrowed from Gregor, and returns to the other Foundation survivors fighting for their lives. Leviathan attacks suspended on wires. After being injured by both Dr. Noah and the mariner, he bleeds, and the mariner comments on how similar their blood in colour is. The trimaran severs Leviathan's wires, and he is eaten by a whale fin. Dr. Noah provides notes on genetic engineering of mermen and women, but it's inconclusive whether these experiments were successful, but there are other Foundation bases that the mariner now has the coordinates for as he continues his journey for meaning and kindred spirits. So it implies that he's going to go visit these other bases and maybe find a bit more information and see if these were successful, but it doesn't necessarily say that he's not an evolution of man being on water. It is a very 90s comic, I'll say that. So the artwork can be a little rough at times from panel to panel, but it's mostly good, I'd say. Kind of reminded me somewhere between Mark Bagley's work and Dan Jurgens, who were very kind of peak 90s artwork and some of the better artists of the 90s for my money. The first issue, I felt it was a bit disjointed because there's some dialogue that leads from one page into another. So there's kind of like, and the mariner ... and you're supposed to follow to the next page, and it finishes off the sentences. It didn't quite feel like that. So I thought maybe there were some pages missing, or maybe the pages were out of order. Sometimes comics can be printed out of order, the pages, so it can kind of throw you, but I don't think they were. I think it was all correct. It just didn't kind of flow on as well as it should have done. That was the issue I had there with again, the panels kind of move quite well and they're quite fluid, but yeah, this dialogue between the pages didn't quite work or land for me. It felt like almost two separate sentences that they were trying to connect. It just didn't quite work for me, but it keeps the tone of the film, the fast pace, the action. Again, there's enough plot there and character development that you need, like the basics. But yeah, generally, I think it also kind of effectively world builds again, much like the film, but it kind of ups the weird a little bit with these Leviathan people who are like have all this armor that's kind of based on like giant crustaceans, and again the weirdness of Leviathan himself being this like kingpin-like character who's massive and agile and huge, and there's a few fat jokes in there, for what they were. It is the 90s. Is it the best 90s comic book you're ever going to read? No, but I think on average you get what I was going in to get, which is kind of an adventure story featuring the mariner, featuring the world of Waterworld and the characters, and maybe expanding on that universe, and it does that. It's an average 90s comic. It's fine. It will do. But yeah, if you want to give it a read, you can get copies. They are still available. Of course, massively out of print, but hopefully you should be able to pick up some cheap copies somewhere. Thank you very much, guys. I've had a blast doing this, and I'm really excited for Forbidden Worlds. I'm bowled over again that I have this opportunity, and do truly appreciate what they do, and I'm blessed to be have the opportunity regardless. And yeah, it is a wonderful event. Please check it out. Go and do it. Take a chance. If some of these weird films you haven't seen, give them a go. Why not? It's the tickets are very reasonably priced given what they are and what you get for them. It's brilliant. So yeah, absolutely get stuck in, get going. It's an excellent event, and I appreciate being even a small part of this big ocean of filmmakers and like-minded people and reviewers and organizers. Yeah, whatever that may be. It's a wonderful event and continues to get better each and every year that I go. So yeah, check it out. But as always, you can find me at spiderdanandthesecretboars.com. Don't forget to use the hashtag #PrepareForPrattle when you interact. I'd like to thank my patrons on Patreon: Tony Farina, I Am Jack's Musing, Simon Cotton, Paul Mellon, Mike Burton. Talked about him a lot. He's a wonderful guy. He's even a patron on Patreon, a spider patron, in fact. Angry Andy, Tonya Todd, Math, Scott Hodgson, Rhea Carrigan, and Sarah Coyne. Thank you for your continuing donations. It is very much appreciated and helps Prattle World keep on turning. And if you ever find yourself in a position to help the podcast, please consider it. And if not, consider leaving a review, a comment, or sharing on social media. Thank you again, guys, and I will see you very, very soon at Forbidden Worlds. But I do have a podcast before then. The final one before Forbidden Worlds Film Festival will be the long-awaited podcast on Memoirs of an Invisible Man. So we're doing a wrong direction. We're looking at John Carpenter and his filmography and his film history, what he does best. And we're going to see if during Memoirs of an Invisible Man, he went in the wrong direction. All right, see you guys. And as always, prepare for prattle.